What's going on, Army? It's been 4 months that I've been back in front of the camera, and I'm loving it, man. Sometimes I look back and I think about how long I've been out and, what little I've accomplished since I've been home. I have to keep in mind that it's only been 4 months. It might seem like a long time to me because I've lived it, but it's only been 4 months. Shoot, I've done more time locked up than I've done on the streets, so I've got to just keep motivated, keep the mindset that things are gonna get better, and keep taking one step at a time and keep making the hard choices. Today, I got something I really want to share with y'all. It's about this last time me being incarcerated, and it wasn't an easy bid. It wasn't, not at all. I turned myself in May of last year, and I wasn't there a week before I ended up watch. And it was all because I was seen on YouTube doing a live visit with Joe and y'all. Someone who seen me and who I knew called the jail and had me put into watch. They told the jail that they were in fear for my life because of a letter that I sent somebody, which I did not send any mail at this time. I wasn't even locked up long enough to have gotten mail or even wrote a letter yet. Hadn't even got my commissary. And the crazy thing is, this is somebody that I used to call my friend. But I love him, and he'll always be in my heart. He actually passed away while I was incarcerated. It's a sad story. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the events of this incarceration. I did time in places in this jail that I'd never done time in before. As you know, when I turned myself in, if you've watched the video, We Lost Dave Today, I turned myself in with a swell cast on my leg. I was at the end of my cast. We got the cast cut off, and I had this bandage and brace on my leg when I turned myself in. I still couldn't walk or put weight on my leg when I turned myself in. So they put me into medical. And all this stuff happened, as you know, if you've watched past videos, which I know y'all have, I got sent into watch. When I came out of watch, they shipped me from one jail to another, all because of the publicity that one video visit did right after I got incarcerated. There was people calling the jail, and they just thought that maybe if I move, everything will be better. But I think it was because that jail did not want to take the chances of me being in there. They were just like, you know what? We got a clean reason to send him, his leg, the suicide thing, and they shipped me off. And not to just brush by it, but I've talked about it before. This whole watch was the craziest thing ever. It sucks to do time butt naked on a concrete slab. That is not fun. It's cold. It is really cold. And it is degrading. Because they come in there, you're on like hour watch. They come in and stare at your naked self every hour. And being that, the whole YouTube thing became known because Joe recorded in the waiting room. He actually got one of the sheriff's deputies on camera, so after that video was posted, all the sheriff's deputies started looking at the videos. Instead of every hour on the hour, different police from all over kept coming in there and asking me questions and stuff. And they're trying to talk to me while I'm butt naked. I'm like, dude, can I get a wash rag or something? I felt a little naked. I guess that's all I could feel. Right? Well, they shipped me off. I go to another jail. When I come out of that, they put me into medical population. That's where I was at. And that's what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about the crazy people I met in the medical pod. And when I say crazy, I'm not trying to, degrade or talk bad about anybody, but man, it was funny, it was scary, and it was disturbing. Some of the people that I met in this place. It was by far probably one of the craziest places I have ever done time. Really was. First and foremost, I want to tell you that in medical population, it ain't just physical medical issues. It's also, mental problems. I also deal with different mental issues, with depression, anxiety. I'm bipolar too. I've got a lot of different things going on in my head that make me not normal according to society. And, according to myself also, I don't feel that I'm normal, and I think that's part of my feng shui. feng shui, or whatever you want to call it. I think that it's my personality. It makes me who I am. And so instead of looking at myself like I need meds or this and that, I take the good, I take the bad. I expose the good and I discard the bad. It's a learning process to have to do that and deal with these things. But when stuff comes at me and attacks me that, like the depression making you want to lay in bed, or the anxiety making you scared of people or situation, or not knowing what to do, I know that's not me. I know people are like, oh no, but it is you. No, it's not me. I know who I am and I know who I want to be. So when those things come and they try to deter me of being who I want to be and who I feel that I am, you know what? I try to do my best to get rid of those things. I want to be in control of me. I'm tired of losing the battle to myself. But enough of the serious stuff. I want to talk about some of these people that I met. By far, I know if you've watched past videos, I might have mentioned a few of these things, but I'm going to get right down into it, So when I came in, my leg was broke. These people put me in a 2-man cell and put me on a top bunk. Do you remember that, Cody? When I called and was like, yo, these people got me crawling on a top bunk. Man, I had a brace on my leg. What in the world is wrong with these people? You know what I did, though? I said, you know what? All right. The police was like, well, I don't know. Apparently, they feel that. I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Just know this. I'm going to crawl up on the top bunk that you assigned me to. And if I fall, it's your fault. I won't on that top bunk, but for a couple hours. It was only a couple hours. They came, moved me. They put me on this little thing they call a boat. I don't know why they call it a boat, because it's got holes in it. Maybe it's just the shape. But it's this big plastic tub thing, and you flip it over and you put your mat on the bottom of it is what it looks like. And that's where you sleep at. So you're off the floor. And I had like 3 boats, so it was stacked up so I could get up easy. Well, when they moved me out of that cell and they put me into another cell, I started talking to my cellie. That first night we were locked down. And we get to talking. He was a really cool guy. He looked kind of crazy. Big, bald-headed white dude with a really big beard. But he was super cool. We're laughing, we're joking. We made some food together. He laid down in his bed. I'm laid down on my boat. And he said something that kept me up for the rest of the night. It kept me up for the rest of the night. There was no way I was going to go to sleep in that cell. He said to me, I was like, so why do they got you in medical? He was like, oh, well, I got a heart condition. I'm on medicine, so they got to monitor me for my heart condition. And then also paranoid, schizophrenic, and I hear voices. This is actually how I look. Hair standing on my neck, because I remember how I felt in that situation. I was like, what do these voices say to you? He's like, oh man, don't worry about it. I'm on medicine. I was like, so you're not hearing voices? He was like, no, I hear them, but I'm able to, differentiate between what is real and what is one of these voices. And I'm thinking to myself like, wow, I've never heard voices. I mean, I've heard myself, but I've never heard voices. Well, he told me, I was like, well, what do they tell you? What are you hearing? And he was like, sometimes it's just like drowned out conversation. I can hear people mumbling. But then sometimes, these voices are telling me to do things to people. What? Man, I was like, all right, buddy, bedtime. And I laid there until they popped the cell for breakfast. Then we have to go back in and get locked back down again. Now the guy's back up again. Dude, I swear to God, I was so scared. I had never not went to sleep all night long with no drugs before that point. I couldn't believe that they put me in a cell like this. What are you doing? It was like they were hoping. Like these people should be segregated. Now, mind you, he ended up being a pretty cool guy, but they should be segregated. You can't put me in the cell with a guy who says he hears voices that tell him to hurt people. I'm not a person that wants to be hurt. Not by him, he's huge. And he looks like he was, I don't know, a cousin from Sons of Anarchy. Like he would, yeah, what? No, I'm not supposed to be in that cell. So as soon as they popped us out to clean the cell after breakfast, I've been in the cell now probably 12 hours. Wait, hold on. 11 to 12 to 1 to 2 to 9 hours. It was 9 hours before they let me out of the cell. And a guy left. Bottom bunk guy left. I immediately went to the sergeant. Like, hey, look, this the deal. Told him the situation. He laughed. Was like, I'll see what I could do, right? Oh, no. That was the regular deputy. Then the sergeant came in who knew why I had got shipped from Chesapeake to Hampton Roads Regional. They knew of the YouTube. They've watched some videos. Cause see, when I first got to the jail, they were kind of sketchy about the whole YouTube thing. I kind of got special treatment from the guards for like the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 months I was at that second jail, because they were afraid I was gonna like out whatever was going on in the jail. They thought I was gonna make up something or whatever and make videos about the jail, because they knew how many, at that time we had almost hit 400,000 before I turned myself in. Well, when I seen that sergeant, I went up to her. It was a woman. I went up to her and she was about this tall. I told her like I needed to move. Man, she moved me instantly. Like, go pack your stuff. You can go in this cell. I was like, well, thank you very much. So I got I had my own cell. I was chilling. But now I'm a nice guy. And there's not that many people in a medical pod. And so I would help people. I give them soups. I give them coffee. But the weirdos started coming at me. There was this old man, old white guy by the name of Joe. I know that's funny, but that was really his name. Man, he would cuss people out like at the drop of a dime. Well, he come in the pod, he had one of those walkers, right? With the wheels on the front, but the nubs on the back. And he'd walk, but one of the wheels was a little twisted. So when he walked, he'd be like, and it would just like, and he'd just drag to the side and then he'd straighten it out. He'd be like, it was kind of funny. I used to laugh at that. Well, he asked me for coffee every morning. I gave that man a cup of coffee every morning. Can I get a cup of coffee? Yeah, you can get a cup of coffee. I got you. So I gave him a cup of coffee every morning. But I told him also, I said, look, man, because at first he was asking me like every 15 minutes. I told him, look, I'm going to give you a cup of coffee every day. I'll do that for you. Every morning I'll give you a cup of coffee. He didn't have nothing. But one thing he did have. It was a picture of a smoking hot chick. And it didn't look like it was out of a magazine. It looked like someone mailed it to him. Well, a couple of other guys in there said, you know, that is actually a known prostitute from where he's at. Like, some other guys knew her, whatever. And I guess she sent him the picture or he stole it from somebody, something. I don't know. We're all in line for breakfast. And that's when we first see the picture, because he had been in the pod, but he finally puts the picture up on the wall. We're in line. This man is standing there. There's a bunch of other guys. Everybody's laughing and joking. Like, yo, your daughter's hot. Whatever. They're saying stuff about the picture. He's laughing. I look in there and I go, who's that? Where'd you get that picture from, Joe? He looked at me, the guy who had been hooking him up. Food, coffee, and he straight cussed me out. Don't you worry about my F you. Blah, blah, blah. Just snapped off on me. Well, I mean, I knew it was going to happen sooner or later because that's what he did. He just cussed everybody out. He was so old and messed up that, I mean, he could talk like that to anybody. Won't nobody gonna do nothing to him. But Dave over here, I didn't beat him up. Let me establish that. I didn't beat him up. I didn't put my hands on him. But I couldn't deal with the fact that he just like, everybody in the pod's laughing right now because they can see my face is turning red. I'm like, yo, this old dude really just like outed me right in front of the whole pod. He just screamed at me. Everybody's like, damn, dude, Joe just burnt, she got you, what? Laughing and joking about the situation. So, I don't know, man. My pride got in the way. I had to go say something. I went up to him, stood right in front of him, and was just like, oh, God. I'm laughing because it's so funny now that I think about it. I was just like, you better watch your mouth, boy. But I said it deeper, and then I told him, I was like, I'm the one that fills your coffee cup in the morning. And I turned around, right? Well, I guess he felt threatened because after I got my tray and went and sat down, I looked over. He wasn't in line no more. I was like, man, where did Joe go? And everybody was like, yo, he's in his cell putting his shoes on. Hey, look, the old man came out and I guess he wanted to fight me. He didn't say nothing to me. He just sat down and like was staring at me like with the ill... Burr, 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 burr. Wouldn't even get his tray to police. So like I can't remember his last name, but we'll just say Guerrero. So no, I'm just playing. I don't remember his last name though. But they were just calling his name, and he's like, just kept growling at me, looking at me, and everybody's laughing. Situation, but it died. Sure enough, first thing in the morning, Man came over to me and asked me for a damn cup of coffee, and I gave it to him. I don't care. He's crazy. We were all crazy. I gave him the damn cup of coffee. But this guy was a character. He got medicine. He got an inhaler. Every day when they would come, they would get the medical held your inhaler, and they would give it to you to get a couple puffs, and you have to give it back. Every time the medical came, Joe tried to steal his own inhaler. And then when the police would come in, he would fight with the police, but because they know him, like, nothing would happen to him for this. You know, he would just like struggle. One time, he stuck the inhaler down his pants, his underwear, and he had on, look, you're in a pod with a bunch of men, you've seen all of them in their underwear. They go to the shower in their underwear, whatever. This dude had on a pair of whitey tighties where the crotch hung between his knees. That's how long the tighty whities were. His slingshots went all the way down to his knees. It was crazy. It was like he was wearing Bubba's drawers or something. I don't know what his problem was, but it was the funniest thing. Like to watch him like stuff that inhaler in his pants, and all I'm thinking is, dude, you put that in your mouth, bro. You know what? Now I think about it, I think he stuffed it down the back of his pants. Whatever. But he would always cuss the nurses out, cuss the police out. It was funny. I've laughed at that dude so many times. He cussed everybody out. Everybody got cussed out in the pod. Everybody, including myself. But me, I don't know. I couldn't take it. Every time he cussed me out, I'd be like, you, Joe. And then he'd come ask me for coffee, and I'd be like, no. I'd say something to him, and then he'd leave, and I'd feel bad, and I'd go get him a cup of coffee. I'd bring him a cup of coffee. I don't know why, but I just dealt with him. I liked him. He was my entertainment. Does that make me a bad person? I don't know. I like laughing at people. But I hope that everybody can laugh at me too. There's some other people in here I want to introduce you to too. Well, the next person I'm going to introduce you to, this guy, he was in and out of the pod. All right, so in this medical pod, they had segregation cells, just a few. They used a couple upstairs, and then they had one downstairs that was the actual camera cell that had a camera in it. It was the same type of cell that I was in when I was in Watch. You know, a camera cell. This guy came in, and he did not sleep. He banged and kicked on the door. He screamed and hollered. He threatened people to do stuff for him. It was so funny. It was really funny. Me, I like looking out for people. I remember when I was in the cell, so he like seen me drinking coffee, eating candy, honey buns, whatever. He'd be like, hey man, can I get a piece? Hey man, can I get this? Hey man, can I get this? And at first I was giving it to him, right? And then finally he kept asking, and I was like, no. And he was like, yo, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to start banging. You ain't going to be able to hear the TV. You ain't going to be able to talk on the phone. You ain't going to be able to sleep. You know what I told him? Keep banging, you idiot. I don't care. I was a little upset. I was definitely upset. So I started doing other things. When he started banging, I started doing kind of messed up things too. When you're in that cell, you're sleeping on the floor. So you know what I did? I would go fill my 20-ounce cup, and I would sling the water underneath his door. And I would keep slinging water until there was a layer of water all the way across his pod. I did get in trouble for that. Call me a dick, whatever. Dude wouldn't stop banging. And then he would make this noise like he was a DJ, and it would drive me absolutely crazy. He would just be like, burr, 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 burr. For what? Why do you have to? And these are the people that I'm dealing with in here. The crazy thing is, he'd do his little 3 days, then he would leave. And then a few days would go by, and he would come back in the cell, do a few days, and then leave. And sometimes, like, you would know that he was back, because as soon as they walked him in the cell, he would hit the burr, 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 burr. Like, dude, no. And I would cuss the police out. Why you gonna put him in here? Look, dude, he was in here last time. Put him over there, because there was 3 pods right in that area. I was like, man, you need to put him in another pod. Every time he'd bang, I'd throw water in the cell until he'd stop. I'd be like, dude, you stop, I stop. That's just what it is. Or he'd keep us up. This is my favorite one. He'd be keeping us up, and then it would get quiet. I'd be like, dude, it's quiet. What's going on? And I would rather mess with him than to deal with the quiet. So while he would go take his little nap, I would walk up to his cell and start donkey kicking the door. Literally, from the back. I would just be like, boo, boo, boo. You'd get in trouble for that. The police would snap on you like, there's no contact allowed to be made from the gap. Shut up. I don't care. He kept me up all night. He can't go to sleep either. Wake up. I'll wake him up. I was mad. It is what it is. The last person I want to talk to you about, and I remember his name, Solomon, if you're watching. Solomon came in, and I knew off top he had just had a stroke. You know, his eye, his mouth, the side of his face had a sag to it, it was a little distorted. And immediately I felt bad for him. I went up to him. I was like, what's going on, man? And he was like, oh, I got locked up for standing out front of a 7-Eleven. I got a trespassing charge. He's talking like he's 100% coherent. Like, he's not crazy. And he asked me, he said, you think you could call my son or daughter for me and see if they would bond me out? I was like, absolutely, I'll make that phone call for you. Or have my friends, one of my friends, make the phone call for you. And I did. And his son didn't want to talk to him, we couldn't get a hold of his son or daughter. It took a while. Finally, my friend got a hold of his son, and she told me that his son said, you know, he's in there for failure to appear on the trespassing charge. He had a warrant for his arrest. He never goes to court, whether he forgets or he doesn't want to go. And he's better in there. He's got a real bad drinking problem, drug issues, all these things. And his son was just like, I'm not coming to bond him out. And come to find out, he didn't even have a bond. All these things come into play. And his son says, you know, he's got a little bit of dementia plus some other mental issues. He's old. I want to say he was Dominican. Once again, caught myself being nice to people, being nice. And I tried to help him out. You know, he had a problem with crapping on himself. That was his issue. He'd poop on himself. Like, I don't think he knew he was pooping or something. I don't know. But it was just really, really disgusting. Just the whole situation. I tried to help him, tried to be on top of things. Like, if I smell him, I'd be like, Solomon, did you poop? He would ignore me or get mad. I remember one time, and this is after like we knew what was going on, everybody in the pod, and I'm sitting there at the table. I'm like, you know, I'm crushing soups, I'm making my swole, and I'm talking to my homeboy, and I look up, my homeboy is looking at me, and he goes, hey Dave, man, look behind you. I look back, and Solomon is standing behind me, facing that way at the card table, standing over the card table, watching the card game. But he got his butt right here, right? I said, Solomon, hey, man, you think you can point that smoking gun somewhere else? Man, he snapped. He was like, your gun's smoking. old man. Your gun's smoking. My gun ain't smoking. I ain't got no smoking gun. I was like, dude, I'm talking about your butt. He was like, what's smoking about my butt? Look, so the situation with Solomon was just a real situation. He was always farting or crapping on himself, and he was nasty hygienically wise. We always had to tell him to go get in the shower. And I remember one time I look over in his cell because I got a hold of his son. I looked over in his cell to call him, and the man was sitting on the toilet with his blanket wrapped around him and a newspaper. So I thought he was just sitting there because a lot of people use their toilet as a chair. They'll just sit on the chair. Well, when he stood up, he didn't have no pants on. He flushed the toilet and walked out into the pod and sat down at the table. And I went up to Solomon and was like, Solomon, did you wash your hands? He was like, yeah, I washed my hands. He got all mad. Yeah, I washed my hands. I was like, Solomon, and I hated to say this, I was like, but I just watched you get off the toilet and come straight out here. And he got up and started chasing me around, like trying to get me. I ran. I immediately ran because he's coming at me with the doo-doo hands. Like I knew. I watched him. It was so nasty. I was so scared. Finally, the police came in because I'm running. I'm laughing the whole time. The police come in and stop the situation. And I tell them what's going on. They force him to take a shower. And just as I suspected, he had crap all over him. They had to like take him out, hose him down and stuff. You come across all types of people being locked up. The medical pod was probably by far the craziest place I had ever done time. It was so much entertainment. It was constant entertainment. There was something going on. But it was, I guess now that I look back, it was kind of messed up that I laughed at people's situations. But some things are funny no matter what it is. And you can laugh. but I did have compassion and I did try to help. But I mean, it's like, the man crapped on himself. I understand he got a problem and I'm trying to help him in his situations, but it was funny still at the same time. And I mean, you can call me what you want, but it was hilarious. And I tried to help at the same time. It wasn't like just I laughed and outed these people. I really tried to help. I really did. This is the time in my life that I'll never forget for two different reasons, though. On a serious note, it was by far one of the craziest places I had done time. But it was the time where I learned the support that I had from the After Prison Show, from the APS Army. I really do think about all the time I did in this jail on this bid because, man, the love was crazy. People made sure that my kid had Christmas presents from me. They made sure that he had birthday cards. They made sure that, I had stuff to eat for Christmas. One special person made sure I had books to read every month. Other people also sent me books, but this one person, she made sure I had books every month, amongst other things that she did for me. Joe really held me down, with the lawyer. I know if y'all haven't seen it, go check the live stream out where Joe got tased to raise money for my attorney fee. It's crazy you want to forget about being locked up, but I'll never forget about that time incarcerated. The Army really band together and, fought with me. And it just motivates me more to stay positive and to stay moving forward. I never in a million years thought this would be where my life would end up. I've always regretted all the stuff I've done, the way I've lived my life. But now I see that it was all for a reason. Now I'm here and I'm able to help other people. And I'm hoping that that's what I'm doing. But until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted and make the most of every day.